Hi, hello. Welcome to Nirnay IAS. We are glad to announce Nirnay IAS is going to launch PSIR optional on 5th of August. In this brief session, in order to make you to understand the uniqueness of the teaching methodology in Nirnay IAS, I would like to discuss an important topic or concept in Western political thought. Most of us, we are well known about communism or Marxism. But more than 90% of the aspirants, they do not know the difference between classical communism and orthodox communism. First of all, most of the aspirants, they do not know there is a distinction between classical communism and orthodox communism. They do not know at the first place such differentiation exists. Classical communism on one hand and orthodox communism on the other hand. Classical communism is that communism which is developed by Karl Marx, Karl Marx ideology as a body of code of thought. Karl Marx ideology as body of thought. It was developed by Friedrich Engels, Karl Kautsky, and Plekhanov. Orthodox communism, on the other hand, it is developed by I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin. Karl Marx enunciates the class consciousness amongst the workers would be incorporated by the workers themselves. There is no need of external stimuli in order to incorporate class consciousness amongst the workers. Hence, class consciousness, as Karl Marx enunciates, can be inculcated among the working class by itself. No need of external stimuli to incorporate such consciousness amongst workers. What does class consciousness mean? We want the surplus value itself. We do not want the hike in salaries, hike in wages, good working conditions, good living conditions. No, not at all. Flexible working conditions. No. We want the chunk, the profit that is earned by the capitalist. We want that. Nothing else. For that, we will wage violent social war. For that, we will wage a violent social war. That is class consciousness. Hike in wages, hike in salaries, good working conditions, flexible working conditions, all of them put together, it is called trade union consciousness. Marxism and orthodox communism, they do not want trade union consciousness. They want to inculcate class consciousness amongst the workers, nothing less than that. On the other hand, Orthodox communism believes that there needs to be a political party dominated by middle class intellects, to inculcate class consciousness. Class consciousness cannot be inculcated as a matter of course. For that purpose, there ought to be a political party dominated by middle class intellects. They only can inculcate class consciousness amongst the workers. Second difference between classical communism enunciated by Karl Marx and orthodox communism enunciated by I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin: how to attain and retain political power. How to attain and retain political power. Karl Marx was not at all interested about attaining and retaining political power. Of course, he enunciated the interim stage of social revolution, that is the dictatorship of proletariat. But he was not much bothered about how to attain political power and how to retain it. For the purpose of retaining political power, they can go to any extent. It was not enunciated by Karl Marx, but for the first time, it was enunciated and practiced to the core, in true sense of term, by I.V. Lenin as well as Joseph Stalin. And you will be wondered to know there are differences between I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin. First difference between I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin: I.V. Lenin, like Karl Marx, he advocates international communism. International communism. That means communism should exist across the globe. Then only we can achieve real communism, because the capitalist, in the pursuit of profit, would pierce through the territorial boundaries of his country, and capitalism would spread across the world, which we have been experiencing nowadays in the form of multinational companies and transnational companies. This is what believed by I.V. Lenin. But Joseph Stalin enunciated that communism can be restricted only in Russia. One of the Politburo members of I.V. Lenin, Leo Trotsky, he questioned Joseph Stalin in this regard. For that questioning, Leo Trotsky was put in prison. Later on, he was assassinated by Joseph Stalin. By 1927-28, all the members of I.V. Lenin Politburo were eliminated by Joseph Stalin. So I.V. Lenin enunciated international communism. Joseph Stalin, communism restricted to Russia. Another difference between I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin: brute force was used by Joseph Stalin even against his own party members. Brute force. As I told you, one of the members of I.V. Lenin's Politburo, Leo Trotsky, he was brutally killed by Joseph Stalin. In fact, Leo Trotsky criticized the authoritarian and totalitarian Stalinist regime. He wrote a book against such draconian rule. The name of the book was The Revolution Betrayed. The October Revolution of 1917 was betrayed. It was written by Leo Trotsky. And Stalin used his secret police 𝐬𝐭𝐜𝐴 to eliminate his opponents and critics. The criticism opposition was brutally eliminated. Around 1 million people were assassinated. Lakhs and lakhs of people were made to languish in prisons. And we don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people were forcefully deported to Siberia region, which is nothing but putting them to death. These are the differences between classical communism on one hand, Orthodox communism on the other. Even in Orthodox communism, the differences between I.V. Lenin and Joseph Stalin. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session. The session is very informative and interesting. Thank you. Thanks a lot.